What's up, everyone? If you're a sports fan or a skate fan and you have not been watching the PSL over the past 5 weeks, I am here to tell you that you have been missing out. This league, which just started back in February, just ended its first regular season, has been a joy to watch. It's been such a surprise. I'm not the kind of person who typically watches contest skating. Someone will send me a clip or something. You get to see some of the best skaters in the world do some gnarly stuff. But the judging is, kind of whack, kind of subjective. I've never really felt it personally. What Mike Mo has tried to do with this league is standardize things. So you have someone go for a trick, someone sets a trick, the other team has to match it. Uh, he's borrowing a lot of components from traditional sports, like the quarters, 3 outs, that sort of thing. The instant replay, to try to make it more familiar, I guess, more approachable, but really just to standardize everything. And I think he's really got a home run on his hands. Potentially, this could go wrong still, but what I see so far, I really love. And if you haven't been watching up to this point, the good news is it's not too late because the finals are coming up soon. March 28th, actually. I'm not sure which day this video is going to come out, but in probably just a couple days, you'll be able to watch the playoffs of the first ever inaugural season of the PSL. And I highly advise that you watch it. So with the final night of the season coming up, I wanted to make a video to commemorate what I think was an incredible first season and preview the playoff games that will be taking place. But before we get started, I just want to make it clear that I am not affiliated with the PSL in any way. I am just a fan. I'm just drinking Red Bull by coincidence. Not affiliated, for real. So before we get into the playoffs, I just want to say a quick word about the two teams that were eliminated in Week 5, Los Santos and Lithium. Los Santos, through the first 2 weeks, were unbeatable. They were in first place in the standings, and a big part of that was Ginwoo, but that wasn't the whole story. They have a very strong roster. Felipe Gustavo drafted Kyle Walker, Suchu, DeCenzo, the guys you can see flipping around on the screen right now. Really a very strong roster. Perhaps the most Sodies. Miles Silva, how could I forget? Definitely the most stacked, the most decorated roster. That's the word I'm looking for. They were in first place. They beat P-Rod's SHS and they beat Nija's Soldiers through the first 2 weeks. They put up the most points. They were 2-0. But that turned out to be a bit of a curse because Ginwoo was scheduled to miss Week 3 and then got hurt during practice. Pretty bad injury to show here. And although he could have returned for the finals, it's unfortunate because they will not be participating in the finals. First place going into Week 3 could have been a bit of a curse because they might have felt like they could rest on their laurels. I know Felipe missed a couple weeks, Suchu missed a couple weeks. They were putting out, only a few guys, kind of maybe thinking they were locked, and it came back to bite them. They ended up missing the playoffs by a very narrow margin, and really only because of how badly they lost Week 5. And the other team on the outside looking in is Zach Saraceno's Lithium. And this one kind of hurts as a fan because as a fan, Lithium was my favorite team to watch. You got Sean Jordan, Zach Saraceno, Alex Midler, Robert Neal, Mario McCoy. And it just looked like they were up there having so much fun. Like these dudes, like you wanted to skate with them, right? Like this is the whole skate video kind of thing. And during the draft, it kind of looked like Zach was just drafting his friends or, people he wanted to skate with. But that's actually not true. That's not the entire story, is what I should say. Because you ended up hearing Zach talk about this. He actually had a strategy where he felt he had switch flip tricks on lock, and he was drafting people whose style he felt complimented him. Like, Deshaun has incredible regular tricks, for example. So it wasn't just that he was drafting people he wanted to skate with. He really did, have his own strategy going into it. Unfortunately, Zach rolled his ankle, before the league and ended up missing the first 3 weeks. And even when he came back, weeks 4 and 5, you could tell it looked like his ankle might have been bothering him some. So the story of Los Santos and Lithium, unfortunately, is a story of injuries. Lithium on the front end and Los Santos on the back end. And they're on the outside looking in. And without injuries, for sure, you would have Los Santos in the playoffs, and you could have Lithium in there as well. Clinching their playoff berth during the final week, we have SHS, captained by Paul Rodriguez. And to look at SHS, I want to go all the way back to the draft, and I want you to look at P-Rod. This dude took this seriously from day one. I mean, look at this dude right here. So you got the other captains. Nigel's on his way to skate. Felipe and Jocelyn are, they're on their phones. Jamie is on his phone as well, not joining via video. He's there via audio. And Zach is chilling. But look at P-Rod. P-Rod is digging deep. He's doing the work. And that really showed. I believe this roster that he drafted, his first pick, Julian Christensen, not a lot of people had heard of Julian Christensen, not necessarily a household name like, some of the other first round picks. You got, guys like Ashad Ware, Deshaun Jordan going in the first round. Julian Christensen, relatively unknown going into this contest. I feel like this was really his breakout year, what's going on right now. He ended up leading the league, tied for the league lead in points. I believe he is the league leader in overall efficiency. Really an incredible season, possibly an MVP worthy season. He was there all 5 weeks, which is huge. Being available all 5 weeks. You see, actually, Paul was available all 5 weeks. He didn't skate in the 5th week. He didn't need to. But you have Paul with potentially 5 weeks, Julian Agliardi with 5 weeks, Julian Christensen with 5 weeks, and Johnny Hernandez with 5 weeks, Manny with 4. And I think that was the same situation as P-Rod. I think he could have skated a 5th week. So you have like the most buy-in is what I want to say for P-Rod's team. And you could see, like I said, from day one, he was locked in. It didn't end with the draft. He was the first to emerge with the clipboard. Whenever we caught like the mic'd up teams, he was always encouraging people. He knew the rules, and he pioneered some strategy. So each team has 3 wildcard tricks going into the game. They're wildcard rail tricks, so they're tricks that are unlikely to be matched. You have your special, whatever it is that you're good at, right? If you 270 backboard, whatever it is that you believe the other team can't match, you throw those out on the rail, you land them, you get the point. But at the beginning, you had like Malto talking about how teams should save these for when they need them. These were the kind of strategies being bandied about, just sort of platitudes, I guess you could say, because nobody really knew what exactly you should do. Personally, I was thinking they were kind of maybe like combo breakers, like if the other team had a big quarter on you, you could sort of take back some momentum with the rail tricks. That was my first thought. P-Rod next leveled everybody, I believe, by putting out Manny Santiago in the beginning of matches and just having him go boom, 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 hit the rail, get 2 or 3 points. He's a rail specialist and maybe not the best defender. So you get him in the starting lineup, have him do his rail tricks, you get him out of there for guys like Christensen, Agliardi, Hernandez to defend. And I think that was groundbreaking. He changed the game strategically. So it was really cool to see. We did see Paul skate, and anytime Paul skates, it's obviously awesome to see. But did the team need him as a skater? Yeah, kind of. So I'm going to break out the spreadsheet here for the first time. This spreadsheet is compiled entirely from the PSL website. There is nothing on here that isn't publicly available, and it is so cool, honestly, what Mike Mo has done with the front end of the site. You can see all the statistics, efficiency, attempts, whatever you want to see. Everything is based on trick attempts, lands, and they break them down. It's all there. So I highly advise anybody who's like a stat nerd, go check this out. So going to the spreadsheet, we look at SHS. So you see here I've bolded when they're the league leader in something. Switch, Julian Christensen is the league leader in attempts and sticks. He went 22 out of 26, incredible, 85%. Also the league leader in nollies, 16 out of 21, 76%. Remarkable. And as a team, they are the leader in switch, attempts and sticks, 70.8%, which is also the league lead. They're not the league leader in nollie because, because Nyjah and Art Cardova are on the same team. So together, they slightly outpaced P-Rod's team in nollie. But you have a very well-rounded team here. So you got Johnny Hernandez, regular. Also Julian Agliardi, regular. Switch, you've got Julian Christensen and Paul Rodriguez. Fakie, Julian Agliardi, one of the best fakie skaters in this contest. And then on defense, pretty solid all around. He's kind of a hole here at fakie, actually. You've got, 4, 5, 10, 11 points scored on them fakie. Only a 35% defense rate. And they're sending out Julian most of the time, who has a 50% stick rate defending fakie tricks. And something I left on this spreadsheet that I think is pretty cool is weeks. So this is basically skater weeks, how many weeks each person skated, and the total for the team. In first place, we have P-Rod's SHS with 24 skater weeks. And in second place, at 23, we've got Jocelyn's Wolverines. So we've got the 1 and 2 teams in the 1 and 2 spots. And then on the other end of the spectrum, 16 and 18, the two lowest, are the two teams that aren't missing the playoffs. So I think this really speaks to availability being the key, and not being injured, obviously. These two teams, Lithium and Los Santos, suffered from injuries, whereas SHS and the Wolverines really did not. So, being able to use your skaters, being able to, drafting people that are available to skate and them staying healthy seems like the recipe for success. That might sound pretty obvious, but yeah, we see it played out in the data here. One of the reasons it's great to have this data. In third place, we have Jamie Foy's Tropics. The Tropics got out to a strong start and never really had to worry too much. They were one of the first teams to clinch a playoff spot. But it's interesting because their net points, if you see here, is actually -6. So they were, I guess you could say, the subject of some positive variance. They didn't have to face Los Santos when Ginwoo was in the lineup, for example, the way that the Soldiers and SHS did. So their points per game is actually the lowest of the teams in the playoffs. But look at their roster. Ashad Ware. Ashad only skated 1 week, week 3 this season. If Ashad is back or present for the playoffs, for these finals, and skating the way that we know he can, we don't know what that looks like, right? This is a totally different lineup. So they've been relying on Jamie Foy. As much as any team has relied on their captain, they've been relying on Jamie. He skated all 5 weeks. And Christian Dufresne has skated all 5 weeks. And then Trevor Colden has also been there for most of the time. And then D'Lo and Majerus making up the rest. But if their lineup is these 3 starting, this is a scary team. You don't want to face them. All right, so we're going to go back to the spreadsheet here to show you something truly remarkable. Christian Dufresne, of the Tropics defended at least 7 tricks in each stance. 30 regular, 14 switch, 7 fakie, and 8 nollie. And had at least a 50% rate of defending those tricks in each stance. If you would ask me before this league started whether that was possible, down the set, I don't think I would have thought anybody could do it for that long at that rate. That's remarkable. And I'd never even heard of Christian Dufresne. So that's incredible. But Art Cardova, you could almost say the same thing about him. He also had at least 7 tricks defended in each stance, except that he was 1 switch trick away. Not even sticking, but attempting. If he attempted 1 fewer switch trick, he would have 50% here. And you could say the same thing about Art. So, in my opinion, the MVP is between Julian Christensen, Art Cardova, and Christian Dufresne. Because these are just unbelievable statistics. Remarkable. There's not enough you could say about this. Just incredible stuff. He kept the Tropics in a lot of those games. They played a lot of close games, and he was clutch in a lot of those close games, including week 1. He started off strong and just kept going. I kind of had a down week in week 5, but the Tropics were already clinched at that point. So, whatever it is, it is. Jamie Foy, no surprise, the league leader in fakie sticks and attempts, and his team also the league leader in sticks and attempts fakie. He has personally more fakie lands than the entire SHS squad and just about the same amount as Felipe Gustavo Los Santos, Nija's Soldiers, and Jocelyn's Wolverines. So Foy just dominating fakie. In terms of vulnerabilities for the Tropics, defensively, switch, I guess. Their best switch defender would be Christian Dufresne's 50%, 7 out of 14. They're sending him out there almost every time. You can see he's defended more than half of their total tricks that are sent switch. I guess that's true for... Well, no. That's just true for regular and switch. So, yeah. I guess that would be the gap in their defense. So these are the matchups for the finals on March 28th. We've got first place Wolverines against the 4th place Soldiers. So Chris Jocelyn versus Nigel Houston. And we've got Jamie Foy's Tropics against Paul Rodriguez's SHS. If I had told you that one of the playoff games would be between Jocelyn and Nigel Houston, I don't think anybody would be surprised. You've got Jocelyn, who's the current skater of the year, El Toro. Even if you are just a sports fan, go look that up. You'll enjoy it. Nigel Houston, household name, greatest contest skater of all time. But honestly, the story of these two teams has been the draft. Obviously, we all know about Nigel's New Year's Slam, which was terrifying to watch. And honestly, it's insane that he's back, but the truth is he's not back like Nigel back. It's awesome to see him skate. He's doing incredible things out there, but you can see he doesn't want to take a hard slam. Understandable. I wouldn't even be out there, of course. But the story of the team is actually the draft. Art Cardova, let's look at these rosters here for the Soldiers. First pick, Art Cardova, Mickey Papa, Evan Martinez. They got Gustavo Ribeiro in the 4th round, which is insane. I mean, I don't know if it was based on his availability or something. People didn't think he would be able to skate at all these weeks, something along those lines. But truly remarkable lineup, probably the most versatile lineup, I would say. Either P-Rod's team or Nigel's team, most versatile lineup. Art Cardova, as I mentioned, potential MVP candidate. Mickey Papa. Let's look at these stats here. Yeah. Art Cardova, 16 points, tied for 3rd, I should say, behind Julian Christensen and Christian Jordan. And then you've got Mickey Papa and Evan Martinez, both with 9 points, both with efficiency over 50%. And then Nyjah, 71% efficiency, 13 points. So you got really 4 killers, 5 weeks skated, 5 weeks skated, 4 weeks skated. So these guys are available. They're killers. Really, you don't want to be facing against Nigel's team. You don't want to face off against Nigel's team in the playoffs. That's obvious. Nigel could just show up and put this on his back. But going against Jocelyn's team, I mean, Jocelyn is the GOAT of big gap skating. And his team actually, first round, Jocelyn raised some eyebrows when he took Christian Jordan. I'd never heard of the kid, 17 years old. Phenomenal. Leads the league in points scored, tied with Julian Christensen, tied for first, 19 points. Roman Hager, Julie, and Christian Jordan both skated 5 games. 71% efficiency for Hager, 62.5 for Christian Jordan, 15 and 19 points. If you watch any of the matches, these two kids are killers, murderers. Week 5, Jocelyn was not available to skate week 5. They sent out Christian Jordan, Roman Hager, and Trevor McClung. And that quarter, even including the quarters in weeks 1 and 2 when Ginwoo was going off, still the most impressive quarter to watch was week 5, the Wolverines just stomping Los Santos by such a wide margin that Los Santos ended up missing the playoffs. They landed something crazy like 21 tricks in the first quarter. Just bang, 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 bang. Just phenomenal job. And it raises a question, right? The question with this team, in my opinion, is they've had the easiest road. They're 4-1. They've been locked for the playoffs. They did a wonderful thing by eliminating Los Santos. A wonderful thing for themselves, because if Los Santos sneaks in and Ginwoo is healthy, huge problem. They eliminated Los Santos. Now, they did this all. They had this incredible week in week 5 without Chris Jocelyn. Now you add Jocelyn. Obviously, you're making the team better by adding the greatest gap skater of all time. But I will say, Jocelyn hasn't really had to coach. From what I've seen, this has been the most chill, laid-back team because they're winning, right? When you're winning, it's easy to do things. Everything's just falling into place. What happens when they're down a few points in the playoffs and everyone can potentially do a trick, right? So Nigel's team sends a kickflip at them. Who's going to take that kickflip, right? Jocelyn has final say on that. And I don't think it'll be an issue, but it's something to watch, right? So far, they've been drama-free, but let's see what happens. So what I'm looking for in the playoffs really is the team captains. In week 5, we saw Felipe and Jamie skate. But now that we're in the finals, do the captains all start themselves? And what does that do to the team chemistry? So the Wolverines lineup of Christian Jordan, Roman Hager, Trevor McClung looked so great in week 5. Does the chemistry get upset when McClung goes to the bench? I don't think so, because their team has been so chill, but we'll see. Same thing for Nija Soldiers. I mean, what is their starting lineup going to be? Nija, Art Cardova, and Mickey Papa? That's what you think, but we'll see. So on the other side of that coin, we've got Paul Rodriguez's Soldiers, where this projected starting lineup here has P-Rod, Johnny Hernandez, and Julian Christensen starting. In reality, P-Rod has only started himself one time this season, which was week 4. Week 4, when every team's captain was in their starting lineup. And I guess the point that I'm trying to make here is this. P-Rod, from what we've seen from week 1, and this is their week 1 match I got up, B-roll. Since week 1, P-Rod has been a coach. Some of these other, like we're looking at Felipe Gustavo right here, he's been a skater first and a coach second, from what we can see. P-Rod has been a coach first and a skater second. It's great to have someone that good as a skater on your team, obviously, but SHS really has the edge in coaching, and that's why I believe the finals will be SHS versus the Wolverines, and I'm picking SHS to win the league. But I really look forward to watching this, and I hope you found this video somewhat informative.